Well, you guys are great. Okay. Okay. That's our regular.
Okay, guys, ready to go, and we apologize for the technical difficulty.
Okay. Sounds like we're good to go. Hey, not sure if anyone but Steve heard me earlier that Tommy had written me this afternoon. He's dealing with a family health issue and won't make it tonight, but wish him well. And I have a baby and almost 3-year-old on my hands tonight, so I think they're about to explode at any moment. If somebody could maybe help take the lead with the opening, I'd appreciate it. And
I'll jump on it. Okay, so today is the Historic Landmarks Commission, and it's our regular meeting, July 18th, 7:07. And until further notice, the Corporation of Harpersbury governing and deliberative bodies will hold meetings and/or hearings virtually via Zoom, which provides for public participation during the public comment period when applicable and when posted on the agenda. Alternatively, the public may watch meetings by YouTube or listen by telephone. These options comply with the Open Governmentals Meeting Act. You want me to read the opening statement?
yeah, sorry, I've just got a crying baby back here.
Let me keep on going. The Historic Landmarks Commission was established to preserve, protect, and foster the rehabilitation of the town's historic edifices. Love that word. To ensure that growth of the community is commensurate with its historic significance. The commission operates under the authority granted to it by the Harpersbury Ordinance Article 131 as set forth in the West Virginia Code 8-26A-4. The qualifications of the commission members are on file with the town and have hereby made a part of the record each and every action of the commission at today's meeting. The basis of the commission administrative approval or recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals is the Harpersbury Historic District Standards and Guidelines. They are hereby made a part of the record of each and every action of the commission at today's meeting. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for other application, for any other application. Please note an interactive digital catalog of all Harpersbury HD properties, including architectural descriptions, locations, and pictures, is available for the public online at bit.ly/hf-historic homes. I'm done with that administrative part. Approval, any announcements? Approval of minutes? That's approval of the agenda. Approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Guy there? Okay, reading approval of the minutes. We have the minutes for regular meeting on May 16th, 2022, and the special meeting July 7th, 2022. I can say I approve the minutes as submitted for both meetings. I second that.
Yep.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. All right. There's no public comment. Last meeting, Steve, you missed. We had the Wheeler family came to the town hall. 3 family members.
Oh wow!
I was not expecting that. It was a surprise. But it had to do with their brother's demise, passing recently, Lloyd, and they had a lot of questions and issues. So we tried to calm them down because they were on the agenda. And
Okay.
they actually read, can you believe somebody in town actually read our agenda and responded to it, and they came.
They saw discussion and action and they were a little worried, so.
They wanted to know what was his action gonna be. I
Right.
told her I wasn't quite sure myself, but we did assure them that, and we did assure them that we want to work with them on this property because it's one of the most historic or one of our oldest properties in town, the one on Putnam. This is Calvin's property, Lloyd's brother's property.
Actually belongs to Calvin. It belongs to Calvin, Christie, and Rhonda. So that property belongs to the three siblings, whereas what was Lloyd's is now Lauren's.
Okay.
So what we just were, the reason we had it on the agenda, at least I explained what I thought would seem like the right thing, was that we were just interested in the property in the sense we wanted to know more about it. You know, you have photographs? Do you have any letters or anything more on the property? And to let us know what you're going to be doing.
I can.
So I'll let her.
There's one.
Yep.
Okay.
Stop it.
5, discussion and actionable business. Weaver Boundary Street Wayside sign request for quotes. I think we had an action there that Guy was going to be working on a couple things, content wise, and maybe like a letter for request for quote. So,
There.
Guy,
Yes.
are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. That snuck up on me. I don't have the Weaver content ready yet.
And now remember, that's the National Park Service type sign we're gonna
Yes.
put in the corner of the park. We just need the specifications.
Yep.
So we can all look,
Yep.
review it. So I guess we'll just
Yep.
put that.
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question? This is me being newbie. Do we need to follow the sign ordinance 1316 and submit an application? Is that something we do now, or is that something we do later, or what does that work? I was looking at ordinances and getting familiar, and this was just popped up.
It's going to be a later thing
Okay.
because we don't even know what's going to be on this sign. We don't even have the size down. See, that's what Guy's going to work on, the size, height, some schematic of how that's going to be laid out in the park. And it has to be ready so they can go out to bid.
Yeah.
Anything
Great.
else on Boundary Street? Okay, the next one on the agenda is the Reeler House at 1046 Putnam Street. The weekend after the special meeting, I actually had a discussion with Linda Reeler, who is Christy's wife, and they were mostly concerned about the back portion of the house, which was added on after, I believe, World War II. So what she wanted to do was have a licensed contractor come look at the back of it and look at safety issues. If there's a way to shore it up, if there's a way to cover it up, what they recommend. So she had some questions. One of the things I made sure she had Kevin Hamilton's contact information. I also sent her article or Appendix B along with a link to the forms that would accompany B. So if there was something construction wise or demolition, she has all the information there. So they're looking at a safety point of view right now. They want to make sure that they are following town guidelines to be safe. And that's basically where they are right now. So they have that information. I put that in their ballpark, and I think I sent everybody an email in case anybody had any further input on that. So that's where they are. They are getting some pictures together. They are interested in having some of the history captured, and I can talk with the family and sit down and go through that with them, as well as with my neighbor who is their cousin, and work on that part of it. So that's where we stand with that.
Yep. Great.
And the one follow-up I wanted to follow up on related to that was I think I shared the letter with the rest of you that went along with the Weaver family,
Yes.
right, proposal for funding from the National Park Service and what, the details that are in there. If you guys think that's helpful, then I could ask April Hamilton if she'd be willing to share or maybe provide guidance to the family if they're interested in going down that route.
They were going to have another family meeting because they are still deciding what they want to do. And this could be a little bit of a process with the family since they just lost Lloyd. So I left it with everybody. They've got Christian's contact information. They have my contact information. I made it very clear that we're going to support the family and help them as much as we can. I made it realistic that this was going to be grants and things that have to be applied for. It was probably a long process. So they have the information, and that was helpful what you sent. I'm just going to keep touching base now and again and just kind of keep it gentle with them because they're still navigating a lot of legal issues and mourning. So
Sure, there you go.
Do we have the name of the SHPO representative? Because they can help also navigate the grants and give guidance, in a resource about an authoritative resource on timing and what they can do now and what they got to wait and get clearance on.
Okay.
So getting that SHPO name would be helpful. I don't know who it is right now, but it's the State Historic Preservation Office, and there's one that should be assigned to our area. And Guy, you might know who it is.
Yeah, I think I believe it's Christina Moore. And I have her contact information.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
Another thing, we don't want to do too much action. They just lost shock. It was a shock to the family that he passed away as young as he did. And so, they're really, I've lost my spouse, and you're kind of in the ether for a while. It's hard to think, it happens all of a sudden. So I think we should be slow and careful and not push on them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
So you
thinking.
guys are. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just thinking that the SHPO person could be an omnibus for them if they have questions when they're ready. It's not push anything out.
Yeah.
It's more of,
I realize that. Yeah.
But just another thing to keep in mind. I mean, that single letter that you guys saw, if you looked at it, that took weeks. That alone took weeks to figure out. There is no template for this stuff. If you ask the NPS, hey, what is the consent letter supposed to look like? They're just going to give you general they'll literally tell you in a couple sentences. They won't give you an example. You have to go back and forth, asking questions, figuring things out. It's really not easy. It takes so long. So, if for anybody trying to figure this out on their own, like a family trying to figure out how to navigate this process and get it done on their own, it's a very uphill battle. And that's one of the roles I think we could play is to keep this information and help, our constituents, pursue these grants with a little more information in their back pocket.
I did pick up a couple of resources about grant writing myself. It's something I'm interested in eventually learning. And I can keep with the family because I already have contacts with the realtors. I know Rhonda, I know Lauren, just from dealing with, Lloyd and the family and things like that. So I can kind of keep the temperature and see how things are going with them. And I can also document if we go down that road and that process, I can start to document the thing. So maybe we can have some kind of template, or we can come up with something that'll be helpful in the future. Yeah. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time we do this.
Exactly. And just so you're aware, I mean, I've got a whole Google Drive folder filled with all the documents that had to go in to this application.
Okay,
and
great.
I think the Weaver family would be more than happy to share that with the Reeler family if they decide to go down that route. So
okay. Anything else on 1046 Putnam? Okay. Ready to move on. Dan Reese. Do we need to table that again until Tommy's available?
Well, let me just say something about it. But I'm on budget and finance, so we are going to bring it back into our 23-24 budget. We almost lost it for last year because it was July was the first was the cutoff. So the funding will get it in back in for 23-24 fiscal year. Okay, so we got a little time. But we should do it as soon as possible. It's sitting around here, right? Okay, it's in this closet behind the
Yes.
door right here.
Yes,
We need to
it's
just
through the
get
door
this
and to the
thing.
left.
Get it done, right? Get it done.
Are we ready to move on to HLC landing page content enhancements?
Well, I think, yeah, we could. I just picked up the application today from, or the letter that needs to be signed and notarized and sent back to West Virginia SHPO to get the money for the welcome letter. And that, I think, is our first step before we talk about, maybe the content that's going to go into that would be in parallel to maybe the content on the landing page. I don't know.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm a notary in all this.
Uh-oh. I'm not picking up whoever's talking.
It's Pat. She's a notary.
Oh, really? Okay, that's great.
You can bring it on in the office.
Wonderful. Great, thank you.
Did anyone have any, since you're talking about the welcome letter, were there any more comments about the contents? Did anyone want further contact information, including I put everybody's email that we use to converse. So if you have another email you don't want that email out to the public, talk to me. If you want a phone number attached to this, so far I have just our emails, and then I have Christian's phone number and my phone number, just for that's on the signing of the letter, so that people have someone they can reach out to.
Yeah, I actually had somebody show up at my house tonight. John Madigan. He's excited about some projects in town. He was asking about modular building and whether that was permitted. So I was going to check the ordinances. Told him I would do that, but I wanted to ask the group: do we have any ordinances that support or kind of counter to the use of modular building?
I think it's allowed. I thought you had to have permanent buildings. You can't have anything temporary. Is that my
Well, modular doesn't mean like mobile homes. I think that's what you're thinking. These are buildings that are pre-constructed
and then put together.
and put together, and you wouldn't even know
Yeah.
Right.
that they're done that way. But
I think-
yeah, it'd be like any other building.
Yeah, I think my guidance though would be element by element, it needs to conform. You don't get an exemption just because it's pre-built and you can't change it. I think you got to find a modular design that has the right fenestration on windows. It's got the right detail. It's got the right roofing. So I'm not averse to it, and it needs to look, feel and character, rhythm and harmony on the street. You shouldn't drop in a California modern,
Yes.
between two 18th century houses, even if it's an undeveloped lot.
Agreed. Yep, that's
So
right. That's what I thought as well.
Anything else with this letter? Patty put it on letterhead for us. It
Nice.
looks nice on the letterhead. I didn't, Christian gave me some feedback and I made those changes, so it's much more readable. So I haven't heard anything else from anyone else, but so.
I thought it was a great letter.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's a way, or if it's a need. The sections we pulled out on, fencing, roofing, windows, gutters, those are all the highlights. Does it say that these are excerpts from the full, so that somebody knows they could find them in content? I'm just thinking about it now, like, is there any way to put a hyperlink? Not that that's so helpful in a printed letter. That actually isn't helpful. I think it's probably better to just say, these are excerpts from, the standards.
Yeah, I put on there, the following section contains an overview of some of the structural elements most commonly added, repaired, or replaced. And then I have the link to the entire Appendix A. And then I have the page number on Appendix A right next to like fences and walls, page 20.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I
okay.
tried to make it where it was, I don't mind putting a link in. We could do that if we're going to send this electronically, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, if it's printed, it's not. So maybe you just want to say the following 4 items, and you could just have like bullets, which is like, this is just, and use the terms that are in the document: the windows, walls, gutters, roofs.
That's what I did. I literally copied and pasted
Yeah,
the
I don't have
verbiage.
it open in front of me.
Okay.
I mean, I know they're there in with their full content. They're there.
Yes.
Does it say at the top though that the following 4 elements are popular, or just saying why were they picked? That's all I was trying to get to.
I delineated this is what's above it, and I said the following section contains an overview of some of the structural elements most commonly added, repaired, or replaced.
Oh, perfect.
Fences, gutters, and downspouts, roofs, and windows. And then
Perfect.
I have them laid out each one. Okay.
Perfect. That is exactly. Sorry, I just missed that when I read it.
No, that's okay.
And the other thing, Steve, I was talking to Karen about, we want to try to also get it emailed as well, because there's so many links, there are a fair amount of links on it, and it really would be, I'd rather overload them
Then
underdo it. Yeah, I mean, but definitely mail it for sure, and then the email would be nice, because I think people will more apt to save an email than a letter or get eventually trashed. But an email, usually people don't delete them. I let mine sit there and I might go back to it. Sure.
So is this a resident?
it's going out to all residents.
Okay.
This time. In the future, we haven't determined, but maybe every quarter or once a year. I don't know. We haven't even talked about it. It'll only go to new residents.
Do you have a process to capture new resident email addresses?
Yeah, I think if we work with the water form.
On the water form?
Yeah, because everybody has to come get water and sewer. And all of our agents are there, but she could keep on working the Harpersbury
New.
new application. You can also let you know maybe when someone terminates, but you kind of want to keep them up. You have to get guidance on what the commission are about sharing that kind of information. I think she had a sign that sheet next to these applications, and someone voluntarily signed them, she could give it.
Oh, I don't think we need the email address. I mean, you could have it. Huh? Okay. Well, okay. We're just trying to get this one approved. We're not even up to that speed yet. We're crawling. So if it looks good, we should probably make a motion. I'm not going to make it just a second, but it needs to go to town council, just for the town council to kind of read it, review it, and then bless it, and then give it back to Guy, who then will submit it to the state, right?
Yeah, I think we could do it either way. Send it to the state first before town council, but whatever.
Someone needs to see it
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
I think it ought to go local to state. It ought to have a memo, signed from Guy that's to either the chair or whoever runs the council, and just say this attachment needs review and clearance and get a wet signature on it.
Yeah, but the town council needs to be aware of it, but they also need to approve it, and they may have an issue or so, I don't know, something like that, or a suggestion, and that'd be fine. And then we get it approved, and then we can get the state approve it, and then they'll fund it then.
So right, that's what I'm saying. If the memo actually has a line where they approve it, there's a signature for approval, that then becomes an artifact you send to the state, saying that the town has already reviewed and approved this.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the preferred process.
I don't know if we need a well, maybe we should just make a motion. I
make a motion that we refer the letter.
We're going to refer the letter to get it on the next town council agenda for August. No.
I think it's on a regular schedule.
Yeah. So you kind of got the motion. So anybody want to second it?
I'll second.
All right. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. We just
Aye.
want them to get it, and then we've done our job.
Yep.
This is a big thing. We've been working on this for a long time.
Well, I sat there and I looked at it because we were talking about it last fall. And I was like, okay, is Guy working on it or am I working on it? And then school got busy. And then I was like, I'm just going to get this done.
The next time council meeting is on the 8th.
August 8th.
So the required has to be on the 1st. So the copy of this, that I needed the packet, everybody didn't see it. But we targeted it on the
You want to do it? You've been doing the whole thing.
So who this
You
goes
just
to?
go start.
I'll go to the-
Okay, she has a form that it's to put on agenda items, and it would be from HLC. It could be in the HLC section.
And the memo would be from Guy as chair.
Yeah, it should, yeah. But let her.
You okay with me acting in your behalf here, Guy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
I'm good for about 6 hours a month at this point, and I used those up after our last meeting. Just drafting that letter, and I don't even know if that was helpful, right? Like, did the zoning commission even use that letter? I don't know what happened to that property down on Potomac Street. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
The deck.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. They're still working on it because the resident didn't realize that there was a meeting with BZA. My wife's on BZA, so she was a no-show, and they have too many questions, and they don't want to proceed until they hear from her. Yes, exactly. They didn't drop it off. It's the next meeting. Yeah.
So anything else on the letter or the landing page at this point for the meeting? So move to new business discussion and action, and this is updating of Appendix A, standards and guidelines. Who was?
I'll take it on. So this we all know now we no longer are visiting with people who have projects anymore. We're basically our main job really is to update this Appendix A so that BZA makes the decisions on what's acceptable or not acceptable when somebody has a permit for some changes on their property. So I felt that we need to they haven't been updated. I suspect, what do you think, Steve, 20 years?
No, that was created when we put this new process in place in 2000, what was it, 12 or 14?
Okay, so
Created.
Steve and I had a conversation last month, and we were talking about it, and he came up with the idea of splitting it up amongst the members. We all take a section, and I kind of broke it down before this meeting. I have some ideas that we can do. That way, each of us can take this assigned section, study it, look what other municipalities in West Virginia, Maryland, around here, historic towns like us, and kind of glean some ideas from theirs to help us to update our guidelines. Right, Steve?
Yeah, I think there's two parts. One is because the Appendix A is organized by architectural element, right? So it's kind of an A to Z list of elements. Some are more important or bigger than others, but they all have some commentary. So I think there's two parts. One is looking at the existing descriptions, because they have to speak to kind of general themes about preservation and the particulars of Harpersbury, and then in some cases distinctions between contributing structures and non-contributing structures. Contributing structures usually have a narrower set of permissible changes, right? If it's really tight and it depends on the feature, like windows, roofs, or walls, exterior are probably tighter than, gutters or something, although there's some rules on gutters. The other thing we could look for are the features missing in the inventory, meaning that there's things when we went through it, we didn't capture. So and so that could come from maybe feedback from Kevin Hamilton and BZA, a gap analysis. Where have they found in their experience over the last 7-8 years where Appendix A is missing something, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's on us to discover that. We can try, but I think the people that have been using it, I think we need to get some feedback from them about if they have ideas about what needs to be included. Those are my 2 thoughts.
Okay, good. I think they're great thoughts. I know BZA is struggling with the appendix. They just are. They don't have the historic background that we have, or the way we look at things through our lens. And so they have a bit of trouble. So maybe we need to make it clear, in this way they can make a proper, decision. And it's better for everybody.
Is it kind of like that retaining wall situation where we didn't have enough documented, spelled out? Is that what you're kind of the idea you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's missing there. I guess I'm thinking something that we tried to invent when we wrote that, or what were the principles of things that would hold generally for all buildings, and what were special kind of tighter restrictions on contributing structures. So there's like a lot of what's in that space. Modern materials, alternative materials that are performant. They look like the real thing, but they hold up better. They wear longer. ASIC, finishing boards. And I think all this stuff is probably in Appendix A. That was all there, but there might be things we want to reconsider now around solar support, and do we have recommendations on that as we try to get into energy efficiency? Window glazing. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking to your point, Christian, some of that stuff was still leading edge. I think Barbara Hughes had put a solar panel in town at that time. We had wrote those.
Yeah. So what I did is I kind of broke it down. I see, like, I was breaking it about 6 pages per person, and so I broke it down. I mean, we can change this, but this was just the idea. But the section having to do with man, I even confused myself here. Here we go. So page 15 through 21, and starts with awnings. See, that's A. And I think we have to focus on these alphabetical ones first. There's other stuff in it, but and I had it through to page 21, and then I had the next one at foundations, page 22, goes through 28, and then metal is on page 29, goes through 36, and screens and storm doors, page 36 to 41. And then the last one is stucco, starts with stucco, page 42 to 47. And then I thought pages 5 through 14, that's not critical to the BZA, but it's something that's the introduction part.
Right.
And I think we need to look at that as well. But I didn't know how we want to split that. I mean, that one maybe should be done by one person, but now we have 6 things, and I meant to get it to 5 because we have 5 members. So, but I'm just trying to make it so that we're not overwhelming each other with, we've got like 6 pages. That's it. Focus on that, and then
we all work through our 6. Do we have a list of the local historic commission resources online? Has anybody inventoried that? So, like, I know, not Antietam here has one. Boonesboro has a page. Shepherdstown probably has design guidelines. So as we take our 6 are we going to go out and look at the same information
Yes.
resources?
Yeah.
So we should probably
Oh.
document what those are. That's
Actually, I have a share folder where I've been collecting them. I look at Gettysburg. I look at, yeah, I could start sharing that with the group.
Maybe one of us, yeah, Guy, you could tell us which 5 or 6 municipalities should we be reading up on? By the way, Bolivar doesn't even have a historic landmarks commission. You know,
Right.
there's towns that don't have it.
That's
So,
right. So I'm looking for where are good ones that we want to draw from. I remember there were some local ones here just in like around Frederick or Antietam, this area that were
Yeah.
surprisingly well developed websites.
Yeah.
Shepherdstown, I'm sure has one.
Yep.
I think we used Shepherdstown in developing this trap, but I'm happy to look at what they've done in the last 8 years and go back. So I'm happy to take any section, you know, Guy or whoever's gonna kind of lead this, just give me an assignment, ideally an email and writing so I can remember it.
Okay,
I'm the same as well, whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so who wants to take the awnings, the first one? I think it's 15. Hang on, let me look. Make sure I did it right. All right.
You got 5 sections there, Christian?
I did.
Okay.
5. Yeah, I did. Now, the intro part, maybe we could look at that.
Let's table that for now. I think
Okay.
once we've all looked at our parts and kind
Let's
of
look
bring
at
back.
the A through the Z thing. Okay, so the
Exactly.
first one's page 15, starts with awnings, and that one goes through page 21, and it ends on fire escapes. That's somebody could volunteer for that one.
I'll take it.
Okay, Karen. So Karen's got that one. All right. All right. The next one is on page 22, foundations. It starts with foundations and it goes through garages, glass, grade changes, gutters.
I'll volunteer for that. I'm very interested in the gutters, windows, and roofs.
Okay, that
Okay,
should be
my
a-
passion.
okay, guy.
GR, but not both.
Okay, guy, you got that one. All right. So then page 29 goes to metal. It says metal on the top of the page, mothballing. So that goes through to metal to page 36, which ends on screens and storm doors.
I can take that.
Okay, Steve. All right. We're gonna have to give one to Tommy. So, what's the worst one? I mean, sorry. The longest one? Okay, and the next one. Oh, make the last one instead of storm doors, it ends on satellite dishes. And then on page 36, screens on the very bottom of page 36, goes to 41.
Wait, I'm 29 to 36. What did you say?
Yeah, you're 36, but your 36 ends on satellite dishes.
Okay, Satfish, all right.
The next person has the bottom of 36, which is screens and storm doors. The way they're divided here, it's pages. And then the screens, and that goes to screens. Where does it go? Goes to streets. I could take that one. And then the last one is 42, starts with stucco. And that goes, 42 to 47. 47. Oh, this has got windows. That's a biggie. Okay, 47.
Well, okay, so
Dark
do you want to
features.
give that one to Tommy, or should I give Tommy
Let
mine?
me take that one, and I'll give Tommy mine. The screens. So give Tommy the screens. Windows are very complicated.
Yes, they are.
I'll probably struggle, but okay. So we have them divided up. I'm telling you, if we can, after a few months, I don't anticipate this happening in one meeting. This is going to be a few months of effort, and then I think we'll get it all together. We will get it approved. We'll all approve it, and then we have to submit it to town council for approval, and then we'll change the appendix.
And just
So
And Kevin Hamilton, yes, of course, yeah.
yeah, so I think we need to be careful about approval because our authority is to own this. So I think they can approve, they can accept it, but I think we just need to be very clear about where our authority is and where their authority is.
I think you're right, Steve. I was thinking more like they approve it overall, that it not going through fine tooth comb
Right.
through the thing. We've done that. We're the experts. They will just kind of like, because it's an ordinance.
Right. I think
It's
they have
part
to
of our-
accept it. They have to accept it into the ordinance.
Correct.
Right. But I don't think they don't.
We
get
have
it.
an ordinance review committee, Steve, and they'll look it over just to make sure. And then they'll recommend to the town council, and they're probably going to recommend only word changes. They're not going to change the intent. Kevin is on it. Okay. And Chris Craig. Kevin Carden, not Kevin Hamilton, Carden, the recorder, and then Chris, and then we have an empty slot. Okay, yeah, town council slot. So I don't know if we need a motion for this, or we just,
I think this is the business of the commission to do this work. Do we need a motion to start it?
I don't think so. I think it's just action.
okay. I'll send Tommy an email and what he needs to do, so he knows. But I think it should be and we should all present our little section, and then everybody can kind of jump in, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we would be bringing up in our research. What are potential adjustments we could make, if any?
Yeah.
Or commentary or clarification, you know, whatever, based on our analysis or review of this other material. And it's probably helpful at some point to put all that in. Once you've had feedback in some draft, then I think the next thing, getting the feedback of the commission, you go back and make draft changes so we have current proposed. So it's kind of a two-step process.
Okay. How do we pick up new stuff?
Well, I think that would be part in your A to Z reading, or that's a separate process where we have to go through and as you're reviewing the material, you could actually identify new things of any alphabetic letter that you think we got to include.
Okay.
then
Okay.
you get
Yeah, I
assigned
could
to the
catch the
person.
letters. Okay.
It's I mean,
In
we're
your
basically
section, because
doing
you
it.
have it's all alphabetical.
Yeah, it's a dictionary
So,
set.
So is someone reaching out to Kevin Hamilton for a gap analysis, or who's gonna to figure out if there's new stuff we need to add in our alphabet?
We should do that. It should probably just be an email
Okay.
with reply to all, so that we all get his feedback, or
Okay.
however you want to do it.
Do you want me to go ahead and draft that?
I think that's great if you could.
Agreed.
Guy, do you,
I think that sounds,
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
But we'll pick up new stuff, Steve, when we see, like I forgot what I have. I have screens, and I go through page 41. So I go up to street. So all those S's, I'll find maybe a new S or something.
yeah. Well, Tommy's doing that, right? Because you're taking W now for Windows.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
So-
sorry. I gotta change. Okay.
So I'm gonna reach out to Kevin Hamilton, and I'm gonna ask him to provide us with information on some of the new ideas, things that are already covered in the Appendix A. Is that correct then?
Yeah,
Okay.
or problems or challenges he's found in trying to apply Appendix A in his job as ordinance control officer, or their
Email guy.
you know,
Okay,
Okay.
good. Then
Okay.
this is excellent.
Okay, I'll take care of that.
Some people are terrible.
and if it's
Something to keep in mind for everyone, maybe to take a look at the annual report that we're supposed to submit every year, because one of the things there that they place high priority on is, are we adding to or updating the historic register? And that includes correcting errors. And I know we have a lot of errors in the register. just something to keep in mind. At some point, we should go through a more formal process like this where, you know, construction dates of homes, materials, whether homes have been demolished. There are several homes on the National Historic Register that are no longer in existence. We don't know when they were taken down. We don't. So, you know, these are also things that we're supposed to be doing on a annual basis.
When's the deadline for that one?
Well, I think it's December that we're supposed to, or January when we're supposed to submit a report.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I can
my
get the dates.
suggestion is, so we don't get diluted, is to focus on this. And then we can jump on that in October, or,
Well,
you know.
y'all just did the big digital update. I think there are accomplishments this year that you could,
Yeah.
you know, and again, that's ongoing work. So every part of every year might be a survey to the new homeowners. You know, when you send that letter out, maybe there's a form.
Yeah.
Here's
That's
what we know
great.
about yours.
Actually,
Send it back if there's errors.
that's a tremendous point. If we don't do that, then I feel like we're dropping the ball. Given the number of errors or just inaccuracies in the historic register, and that was the hope for this digital thing, to make it more accessible for homeowners. To go here, look at the description. A lot of people have better information just in their heads, in whatever they got when they bought the house, or the research they've done on their own.
Okay.
We need to mine that information. That's our mandate.
Yep.
Okay, do you want me to then put a form with this letter? I can create a form that directs them to the electronic map. And then can you guys let me know what elements you want me to ask about? Date, building materials, that kind of thing? Okay, so I'll put out an email and have you guys give me a contribution. And then what I'll do is Friday, I'll make up a form. So if you can get that information to me by Friday, I can make up a form that'll go with the welcome letter.
Yep, I think that would be impressive. That would be precedent setting for the state. Nobody's ever done anything like that. That's what they want. They would love to see that.
Okay.
And I think if you even go in and look at the descriptions, I mean, this was done, and Steve would know better than I, when the last iteration of the historic register was issued. I think it was 2009.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And it was, there was a historic architect that went around and just did these descriptions, and
But that was all external inventory. There was no outreach to homeowners. That was their staff taking pictures.
That's right. Just driving around and dropping kind of like a checklist in buckets. You'll see the description format is very similar, kind of overall description of the style, number of bays, roof type, material type. There's a very kind of formula.
There's a standard form, and in fact, in that same office, through the door that Ken was pointing towards, the recorder's office, are all of the town physical inventories from the 1980 inventory, where there was a folder for each property. There's a card in it. So Karen, if you look at one of those, that's the form. That if you're talking about designing one, we already have paper versions of what was recorded from 1980 and then electronically in 1990.
I have a question. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. I'm not finding submission. Talking about the catalog that is in the recorder's office that I'm going to show here. Has anybody taken on the task of creating a new folder for the new construction that happened in the town over the last 5 years? I bet not.
You're very garbled, Patty. So can someone repeat what the question? I didn't hear it.
Okay, so there's been a lot of new construction.
Can you get closer to the mic, please? That's better, I think.
Okay, so there's been a lot of new construction.
Yep.
Over, I'm going to say the last 5 years, if not more. Has anybody from Landmarks created a folder similar to what we already have for all of the inventory on these new structures.
Probably not.
They should. We should start looking at that and include those with a photograph, filling out that form with all that new construction. I know it's not historic, but you need your housing inventory.
Well, the town council's we've talked about, or budget and finance, we talked about having a database. We don't have a proper database for town, for the entire town, on just our running this town hall. And we wanted to have documentation like, well, when did they fix that roof? And we'd be able to just pop it in the thing and it would show the history when it was done, who approved it. For instance, my garage in my house, I don't know if it ever got, it's in the easement where I'm not moving it, but but is it, it should be all there electronically. This thing on paper, but we have to get a whole new system. Our system right now can't do it.
You're not going to get that in 3 months.
No.
But we are sending a letter, to Patty's point. If we are sending a letter, the form, if you don't, I think in the letter that Karen's writing saying, here's the electronic database where most people will find their home. If you have a new construction or you're not listed, please fill out the form with what you know now. Right. I think we're going to ask you the new stuff and then we can add it. Right.
Yes.
And that's how you get it added into the inventory. Yes. Thank you, Patty. That was a great point. She's walking away.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. Absolutely. That's a great point. And
but the town council recognizes, not just for historic landmarks, but for all the commissions and committees, and all this data we have is sitting on paper for the most part. And it's not accessible. It's inaccessible, really.
Well, we can add it as a map layer. That's the beauty of the Google Maps. It's accessible, and we can create distinct layers of information, right? So right now, if you go in there, you can click, even by period, right? By I think it's like 50-year period of construction, and the thing that's missing are all the homes that have been constructed basically since 1950 and forward. Right. So that's an additional layer that could be created.
Right. The non-historic modern layer.
Yeah. And there are some modern homes that are listed there. And the thing where, things get tricky where there are several properties that are highly mixed, hybrids of historic and modern construction, and getting good descriptions of that. And a lot of these homes, as we all know, homeowners, if they're not, we're not catching a lot of changes that are being made. I think it sounds like windows are a major area, right? And there are other things that are being changed that we're not catching.
Well, it's because they don't get permits.
Yeah, there's that. But whole homes, listen, there's more than one historic property listed on the National Register where we don't know if it's still there. I still don't know. I can't figure out. And look at the trouble we had with this property from the last meeting. There was a lot of confusion about, is this property on the National Register? The only reason I was able to answer that question is because I spent so much time mapping this stuff, and I could tell you, yeah, that's this house.
Okay.
I think one of the things in the future we can look at is, it may not solve some of those problems, but if we offer education to the real estate agents around here that actually sell, because we've had property up on Putnam exchange hands, and some of the real estate agents are much better at guiding people to where they need to go to find things and educating them, and some don't know anything. Like my real estate agent really knew nothing. So I think sometimes maybe we can invest in the community that way as a commission and offer this, put this on our future agendas to look at doing something so that the real estate agents in the area are able to offer people information. And we might have a bit more compliance with permits from future buyers.
Okay. I think some people aren't even aware that they own a contributing structure. They don't even know.
Well, that's why you got to put it on a map. Look, the reason this confusion originates is because you've got addresses on the National Register that do not correspond to addresses painted on the homes today. Like You know, what was it? 106 Potomac Street. Well, that's an address for the rear, door of a historic property. And
2 and 104 on the front. We couldn't figure out which one it was.
They're like, who's going to figure that out on their own? No one. No one's going to figure that out. You have to, I had to probably Google search for 30 minutes to figure out that house was on the historic register.
So then we should plan, as these letters go out and the forms come back, we have some inventory control about who responded and who didn't, and a process to follow up, to update the nomination and thank people for their response.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a way, or potentially gleaning new discoveries out of this process that could get highlighted in the town newsletter or something, as just kind of a shout out of thanks, as we find new things, or, appreciation. I don't know how we could create a virtuous cycle, because things do change, and you probably need to do this more than once. I'm not saying you need to do it every year, but I think,
I think every once in a while, the other thing too is we could be requesting if they have documentation. I have a lot of additional documentation on my home that I've done on my own to prove, like tax records and things like that. That'd be nice for us to have that.
Or for them to link it to the digital map somehow.
Yeah.
We don't have to maintain it.
Right. No. But by the way, I had a long talk with the new owner of Pete Murphy's house over the weekend, and she knows almost nothing about the house. Nothing. And so I will be working with her, but she's not going to be living there, so it's going to be a little hard to get her educated. But she's going to have an Airbnb, and as we do in our Airbnb, we have the history of our house on the Airbnb. It's in our check-in manual, so people know who built the house, when it was built, all that stuff. And you know what? People like that stuff.
Yep, we do the same thing.
Yeah. So I'll be talking to her, but that's going to be a problem when new people come in town. They just don't know. And I did tell her to talk to Kevin Hamilton before she does things. So yeah. So I'm just saying that's how we lose when we have a death. Jim Jenkins' house. I mean, I don't know much about it, but I'm sure he knew a ton about that house, and some of that information may be lost. That's why we need a database.
Yeah. Bob Johnson too, with everything.
Bob Johnson
knew so much about mini houses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, to that point, I do have a spreadsheet of that's similar to the format. I'll share that with you guys. I tried to break down all the criteria they used of features for the historic homes. So maybe that can serve as a reference. So I'll share that.
Okay. I guess we're done.
I'm going to make a motion. We adjourn.
Second.
We're at 8:09 p.m.
Hey, good meeting. It was productive. We just got to get Tommy up to speed.
Guy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Off the record, Patty. Did you want me to keep doing the agendas?
Hey, if you're willing to do that, that would